It's time for yet another Q&A with us, the British Fist.
Catching!
Mr. Parkin here and MJ here.
What's up?
Who only went and got himself his own damn t-shirt, even though he's not wearing it today. Where's my motherfucking t-shirt, as Mark fucking...
You need to make one.
as Mark would say, of course. The marvellous one, as we should say. If you have any questions or anything, comment section below. Any questions you can give us are good questions, apart from the one we're going to start off this Q&A with. Abdullah Shakar 7, will WWE ever buy TNA? We'll give you a clue. The answer's not yes. It's really all you need to know about that. At Mark the Fish. Dan, what's your thoughts on all the NXT talent coming up so quickly? I don't mind it because it means that we get talent, new talent, and new talent is always good, fresh faces as opposed to the old faces, but your next question does kind of, bring another element into this. Does it mean the current roster is rubbish, weak, poor, or injured? It just means the current roster is kind of stale, really, and you've got to bring some more faces in there. I mean, WWE could very easily use the talent they have, but bringing in some new faces in there, it just makes the show feel a little bit more fresher. Guys like Adam Rose, Paige was much needed to the Divas division, etc. Just newer guys make the show feel a bit fresher every now and then.
As much as I wish the booking was concentrated firmly on the roster they have, like Barrett's finally getting after a long wait. Sandow slipped. Ziggler slipped. Del Rio slipped. But the thing about the question that you asked, Dan, is I feel bringing all this new talent is good, but you say so quick, they could get lost in the jumble, or at least one of them could.
Agreed. No, I think that's why a lot of the times these talents feel better on NXT because they're booked like they're a big part of the show, whereas when they're on Raw or SmackDown, they're booked as if they're just a small part of the show. Apart from maybe the Shield and the Wyatt family, they're a little bit different. But it's good that they've got new talent coming up, but as NJ said, they're eventually going to get lost in the shuffle. I mean, we're going to be having a lot of questions soon about Alexander Rusev and whether or not he'll continue his push. Who really knows? Yeah. The answer's probably no. Trey Simpson. Whatever happened to everybody's theory of Damien Sandow being elevated after losing to a one-armed John Cena because now he's just a jobber? Well, the theory of him, being elevated would have been if he beat Cena. But when he lost to Cena, he was elevated partially, but they never followed up on it, which is why he's now a jobber.
The thing that really slapped Sandow in the face, he was in feuds or against named wrestlers. Sheamus, John Cena, Cody Rhodes. So he's against people who had a name in the company. So the WWE were on the right track. People were saying he was putting on good matches. But somewhere, it just fell apart. And John Cena could be to blame. But at the same time, the WWE could have had the heel side of Damien Sandow overcome John Cena in other aspects.
Unless he's done something backstage, but the kind of Raw summed it up when he was in a fucking Magneto costume. That kind of sums up Damien Sandow right now, doesn't it? Oh, we're going to dress him up in a Magneto costume. What a bunch of bullshit.
Subscribe.
Do you think... Oh, yeah. That will make you subscribe, if nothing will. Do you think that Alexander Rusev will flop? As I was at a live event once and the fans were chanting boring during his match. I think the main thing here is two things. Firstly, it's Vince McMahon's little pet project. I think it kind of feels that way. It was kind of the same with people like Riot back in Fandango. And what happened to them guys? They got pushed like the moon, and then they lose to a big name, and then they get relegated back down. It's probably what's going to happen to Alexander Rusev. Number two, Alexander Rusev isn't generally the kind of guy, let's face it, he's not the kind of guy that a lot of people in the IWC or the smart wrestling fans would generally like to see push because he's not been on the independent scene, he's not wrestled in Japan, he's a bigger guy, he's involved in squash matches. It's probably one of the reasons why people are booing him unjustly, in my opinion, because he is quite talented. I've seen him on NXT many times.
I wouldn't mind seeing, because we all have our prediction of his future, I wouldn't mind seeing him use an old Mark Henry, just a dominant guy to fill in the blanks where needed. But to be honest, especially on social media, Lana is more over than he is.
I think the whole point of this is probably to get Lana over. I don't really know, but I think they should at least try and make Rusev a star with Lana as well. But, another point here. Guys like Big Show, Kane, Mark Henry, they're not going to be around much longer. We need bigger guys. This is why I'm all for an Alexander Rusev push. It may not go anywhere, but eventually we're going to need bigger guys to replace those guys. It's eventually going to happen. You can't go going wrestling until you're 50, unless your name's Ric Flair or Sting or Hulk Hogan.
But on a quick side note, WWE and foreign wrestlers. Okay, Kozlov, we've had Khali, we've had the Turbo Hogan,
Davari
and his
Mohammed
Hassan. It's just a shame. So he's a big guy that do we go for, but not looking good.
Mismatch FIFA. It pretty much sums up every game I played on FIFA 14 this year. What's your favourite wrestling documentary? Go on, you go with yours. You've watched a couple of DVDs.
There's quite a few. I prefer most of the DVDs that have a story in disc 1 and match in disc 2. CM Punk has a great one because it stretches back. Eddie Guerrero, they're the two that stand up to me.
True Story of WrestleMania. I like that DVD. Also, I thought Ultimate Warrior's documentary was pretty good as well. A lot of people have been saying really good things about it. How will WWE book Cesaro now as a Paul Heyman guy? Fuck knows! He was supposed to be a babyface, now he's with the heel Paul Heyman's. Who the fuck knows how they're going to put Cesaro now? No one.
The thing is, that is exactly how I felt because he was over as a face, he was predicted as a face, he had a good future as a face, it looked like. Paul Heyman came out of nowhere, but this war just gone. This head pounding to Rob Van Dam, so he gets DQ'd, and Paul Heyman having to tell him to stop. That is the first bit of heel heat he's got.
Just been given a nice babyface moment at WrestleMania, and I'm going to continue to make him heel. Why? Is Cody Rhodes overrated? My opinion is that he is. Well then, Mismatch FIFA, then you are incredibly not in my good books. I don't feel he's overrated. I think, to be honest, he's at that point in his career where eventually, because he's only 28, 29, and which is the kind of age where WWE probably won't push a guy just yet unless they're main event material. I imagine when he gets into his early 30s, then we'll probably see a little bit more of Cody Rhodes. That's what I feel anyway.
An example of Sandow, Cody Rhodes was on a good run, especially with the Intercontinental, his mic work, and then it just sadly slipped up. So I think that Cody Rhodes is a guy that should have been higher than where he is now.
Definitely. If you could swap 3 WWE guys to 3 TNA guys, who would they be? I think Bobby Roode has to go to WWE. He'd be a perfect fit for WWE, as would James Storm, in my opinion. I'd love to see someone like Austin Aries in WWE, but especially now he's not even being used by TNA. As for WWE people going to TNA,
Ziggler.
To be honest, TNA need tag teams. So I'd say the Usos, Ziggler, good one there, I think. And they need X Division talent, so give them Evan Bourne. I don't know. They need tag teams, they need women, they need X Division talent. You could give them 10 guys in replace of 3. Easily. You could give them a couple of divas, which no one uses, that they could probably build up. You could give them some NXT guys, so they could build to X Division guys. Just saying. Tyler Breeze. The Brony Assassin 161. What do you think of Evolution returning due to the crowd reaction? And the commentary really took away from the moment. I was part of the crowd, sadly one of the only people who was like, oh shit. I like the return of Evolution, but yeah, the fact that the crowd pretty much drew crickets, that was not a good sign.
The crickets at the arena was bad, but the social media seemed to blow up when I was looking on it and watching reviews and stuff. Evolution back was meant to save Batista, but with the rumour or the story that he's meant to still be leaving, undid that, and now he's gone back to Batista.
He's now jobbed to Daniel Bryan clean in the main event of WrestleMania. And now he's jobbed to Roman Reigns. So, to all the people out there who are saying, oh, Batista's not going to be putting over young talent. No. May I present to you WrestleMania and Extreme Rules? Just saying. Anyway, who would you want to win Money in the Bank this year and next year? I'd say this year you give it to Cesaro. Maybe. And then maybe next year you could give it to a Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins. I don't know. I'm just thinking of new talent here.
I definitely would have it as Cesaro, in my opinion, because Paul Heyman is going to take whatever advantage he can to prove that he's took his guys from here to here. So if he can get his Cesaro guys, a Paul Heyman Money in the Bank holder, job done.
Yep, I think Cesaro is a good bet for this year. As for next year, we never know. Adam Rose might get big by that point. We might all end up believing by that point. You just never know. Where do you think Rusev will be in 1 year? Probably back on NXT. Wow, this name. T3 Bag Teeth Teabag terrorist. That's how it's supposed to be pronounced. Very good use of the free as the E there. Do you think Wade Barrett's career would benefit from a run in TNA? Would he be over as a main event guy under any of his previous or current WWE gimmicks? As for a run in TNA, we all know what TNA like to bring WWE rejects back. So if he does get retired from there, you never know. TNA might just give him a main event run. I don't think it would help him, though.
The WWE have finally revived him in WWE. TNA could find a spot, but I don't think it would last as long as the WWE will hopefully make this run last.
He'd be over as a main event guy if Nexus stayed together for a little bit longer, but that never happened. But the bad news Barrett gimmick, I guess, at least it's a gimmick. It's something that makes him stand out. I've got some bad news. At least it's something other than I'm Wade Barrett, I'm British. That's all I can say. Jack Johnson. Should John Cena be a manager or general manager of Raw or even a commentator? He is so entertaining and he supports the troops and Make-A-Wish. Let me guess, you ended that with a lovely thumb up there and a smile. Should he? Well, to be honest, no. He shouldn't be a manager, a general manager, or a commentator unless he is 55 years old and WWE still want a way to keep his name relevant. But right now, no, he should still wrestle and be a full-time wrestler and the top guy for the company. Easy.
If John Cena ever agreed to take a timeout or play an injury, maybe a commentator would work for a period of time like CM Punk did. But to be honest, he should just stick to the ring and do whatever he's
literally stick to the ring like, I can't move! STF! Lose! Yeah, that's right. David Wayne. Who was the first heel that you liked?
Triple H.
As for me, I don't really know. I can't really remember the first heel that I liked. I guess Lesnar. I think that might be the first one. Maybe Undertaker. I don't really know. RFV089. Thoughts on Nancy Grace's comments regarding the death of Ultimate Warrior? Oh boy. You knew this one was going to come up soon. Well, I can't really remember too much about it now. It was a long time ago, but basically Nancy Grace used Ultimate Warrior's death as a reason to rip on the wrestling business for the whole drugs use and steroid use and stuff. And it was very disrespectful because Ultimate Warrior didn't really die of any steroid-related causes, did he? And it's just like, it just felt like Nancy Grace, you know, I've heard a lot about her. It just felt like she was trying to use something like this to grab attention on her show, which is basically trash from what I'm hearing. So, and Nancy Grace, it doesn't surprise me, you know, knowing, doing some research into what she actually talks about, but incredibly disrespectful and incredibly disrespectful to the wrestling business as well, I think.
Well, to be honest, I don't think I'll be surprised if any of you subscribers or viewers were supporting Nancy in any way, because her targeting such a growing company, yes, it's declined over the years, but to target Ultimate Warrior after what he had done before he died and then actually dying is so disrespectful, and she should have never done it, even if it was years later.
You know what? I think the reason she did it was because the wrestling business is an easy thing to pick on. That's what I think. That's why a lot of people pick on wrestling fans, because it's easy to pick up on, because it's Hogan scripted. Mr. Parkin. Do you think that the current Premier League season has been the best since the Premier League, given the title race is very open and the battle not to be relegated consisted of about 10 teams? Well, that was up until about 2 weeks ago. I think the Premier League season has been exciting, even though Man United have been out of it. I've kind of been able to be a bit more of a neutral fan. City, Chelsea, Liverpool, even Arsenal is still in there. It has been quite exciting. As for the relegation battle, again, it's been somewhat exciting. Now we know who's gone down. The two teams that have gone down, it's just down to Norwich and Sunderland now. But it's been a good season. It's probably been the season what I paid attention to most, simply because of the fact that 3 or 4 teams were vying for that top spot pretty much all season. What do you think is a better moment? That Chris Jericho beat Austin and Rock on the same night, or Daniel Bryan beat Triple H, Batista, and Orton at WrestleMania 30? I think Chris Jericho beating Austin and Rock because they were like the 2 biggest stars the company has ever had, whereas Triple H, apart from Hogan, of course, and Triple H, Batista, and Orton, they're top guys, but they're nowhere near the level of an Austin and Rock. And plus, back then, that was when Austin and Rock were still top guys as well.
I want to give it strongly to Chris Jericho's storyline and match. But the fact that Triple H has put over Daniel Bryan, which, yes, it was needed to happen, but he did it. And then Daniel Bryan went on to Batista, who's Spotlight Hogger, and Orton, ex-world champion, all that stuff. That's got some greatness to it, but not compared to Jericho.
Also, I think Daniel Bryan's storyline was done much better, and it got much more fanfare. But I think Chris Jericho's moment will have more of an impact in history because he was the first undisputed champion in that sense before Orton and became undisputed champion for the first time. Superfan 931. Oh boy, we're gonna have some fun with these questions. Do you think Eric Young's World Heavyweight title win and Impact was TNA's idea of trying to get success off WWE success on Daniel Bryan winning the title? Oh fuck yes. I mean, you got to look at it. They didn't even build up to Eric Young. I don't even watch TNA anymore, but I still know about this shit because I still look online. But basically, you could tell it was hot-shotted. Oh, he won a battle royal. He kind of has a beard. Oh, then he won the title over Magnus in the main event, winning 2 matches in one night to win a title. You know, in a severe underdog way. It stunk of TNA trying to get success off WWE's Daniel Bryan storyline, even though it never worked because that was the lowest rated segment of the show. And how's Eric Young been working in TNA since then, Jay?
In my opinion, I've not liked it, but, you know, I'm not going to take away. He still managed to retain it, so he's doing something right.
Hey, he's being booked better than Magnus, I hear. He's actually winning matches clean. I mean, what a novel concept, TNA! The champion winning clean. Yeah. Do you think Bray Wyatt would have gotten over without Harper and Rowan? I think we had a question like this before, didn't we?
Different opinions.
And we had different opinions. I think not as much because I think Harper and Rowan really do add to that whole Wyatt family and that whole cult following thing, which I think is really big part of Bray Wyatt's character. Whereas I think you disagreed. You thought he could get over by himself because of how good his individual character was.
Because it is a family, the WWE had to work on all 3 of them to make the storyline work now. But if he just came in on his own, did his epic promos, still found his heel-like ways in matches, and did all this creepy stuff, I don't see how it would not work. I think Bray Wyatt on his own is brilliant. I'm looking forward to him going against a like of John Cena in a match where there's no family members.
I completely agree that Bray Wyatt could get over on his own. I just think the family has added just that little bit extra to his character, which has allowed him to really be a big main event player. That's kind of how I feel about it. Be interesting to see what they actually do with the Wyatt family in like a year or two's time when it might be getting a bit stale. Might they turn Luke Harper face or something like that? Who really knows? Maybe they'll just add new members. Where would you rank Undertaker's streak ending in wrestling history? Well, to be honest, the actual match was one of the worst, in my opinion. But it will still be remembered as a big moment in wrestling history, whether we like it or not.
And the reason it's going to stay as wrestling history is because my client... I know. I said this before. The fact that he's, in my opinion, overdoing a little bit. It's continuing the story from WrestleMania onwards to the next WrestleMania. But in rank, I think it's a big moment, but I just don't think it's the biggest WrestleMania.
Yeah,
match.
I think if it would have been done a little bit better, maybe if Taker didn't get injured, maybe if he wasn't as old as, that's no offense to Undertaker there, and if he wasn't facing an opponent that was incredibly stiff in the ring and was probably bound to injure him at some point, it could have been a big moment. Just imagine this moment happening at WrestleMania 28 in the Venera. How much better that would have made it. And didn't you say that? That WrestleMania 28 should have been the place to end it.
Right.
I think a lot of people said that as well. But anyway, that's been another Q&A from Mr. British Fist.
Good.
If you have any comments or questions, mainly questions, post them down below. And that's it.
Thank you very much for watching, people. We've enjoyed this Q&A. Please think, because sending more questions. You didn't hear what I just said because I mumbled my words there. But thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.